that in our July meeting, which I have right now, have tentatively planned for July 23rd, that will be the meeting that we will propose the operating budget for RSG. Don't quote me on that. Don't hold me to that. But that is a meeting where I'm going to try to lay out the land for that. But just quickly in terms of legislation, we passed two bills at our first meeting. The Presidential Search Committee, Vice President Margie sent that out to all the recipient lists. Amazing. We've been having a lot of conversations within this. I've been in contact with uh, one of the members on the search committee. And so I'm trying to engage a conversation that can happen between us and the students on the committee to kind of continue to engage them about how can we bridge the gap with advocating for us on the committee and graduate students as a whole. But I have no doubt that whoever is the 17th president, that they will be inclined to listening to graduate students, and that when they are installed and integrated to the university, that we will have an opportunity to speak to the 17th president. There's no updates from the Constitution Amendment. Everything's great. Thank you all for passing that. We're now actually an SSO. And then lastly, in my long report, I want this to be a very fun opportunity for you all in RSG. I think this is a great place to advocate, but I also want us to feel that you can meet friends here, we can bond, we can have those events. So coming back to campus, I'm really hopeful that we can kind of just do something really fun to really interact with you all. And then lastly, within my report, if you're interested in joining exec, we have opening for student life chair. But if you also know any other grad students or any other Rackham students who are interested or just want to get involved, please send them the form, fill it out, whatever it may be. That being said, my very, 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 very somewhat long report. That is all I have. Questions, comments, concerns that I can answer. Representative Frida?
First and foremost, love the Instagram, love it. I think clearly, based on the dormancy of our social media status, it is absolutely vital, not just like, a good start. It is vital that we continue this and continue the velocity in a upward trajectory. And I guess my next question would be, although you don't have to commit to anything just now, I wanted to ask you about the possibility of doing something like a Reddit Ask Me Anything where students can ask the exec board questions, or dare I say live stream, some ideas like that. What do you think about those potential ideas with expanding Rackham student government's reach?
No, yeah, I mean, I think that could be interesting, Reddit, but yes, but even on going on Instagram, and kind of interacting that way, that's been kind of my hope of like how can we just interact with students in a different, manner and try to increase the following base of it as well. So yeah, I mean, if there's students that will join the Instagram live or comment in the Reddit, sure. I don't know how many will be tuned in, but I mean, why not? Um, yeah, Representative Frito.
I think that's about it for now. I think good
Yeah,
start to the year, and let's keep it going.
awesome. Well, that being said, I will have us move forward on the agenda to our next report to our amazing Vice President. The floor is yours for a report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I won't read through my written report since everyone has it attached to the agenda, but I did just want to highlight a few things. First, I am happy to share that we have successfully onboarded our amazing secretary, Brianna. Shout out to her. Her first meeting as a secretary. And we're just going to continue on to onboard our newest appointments as, they join RSG. Welcome. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for being so welcoming throughout this whole transition. I did want to add that I've also updated access to our Google Drive and the Slack and shared calendar. So if you're still missing access to anything, please let me know after this meeting or send me a message and I'll just make sure to have you added to everything. Um, I also want to thank everyone who has filled out the board member information form. It's been incredibly helpful. The RSG website has been updated with everybody's names and photos. So if you notice anything that needs to be changed or corrected, just please let me know and I will be more than happy to edit anything on the website. If you haven't completed the form already, I would really appreciate if you could do that as soon as possible so I can get everything all settled. Behind the scenes, I have been working on just reorganizing our Google Drive because I don't know if you could tell, but it's kind of messy in there. And updating just a lot of our internal resources. I did update the open comment form for anybody in the student body that would like to come speak to us. I updated the excuse absence form, so if you ever need an excuse absence, the form is attached to the agenda. Just it's all updated as well as our calendar. So everything should be easier to find and use moving forward. Um, Looking ahead to our summer, I'll just be sending out our committee preference form soon, along with the dates and locations for our remaining summer and fall board meetings. Um, Other than that, I've also drafted several bylaw amendment resolutions that we'll be considering tonight, as well as over the coming meetings. In addition to that, I've been also following up on reimbursements from last semester and just continuing outreach to recruit our additional division and ex officio representatives. So just to echo President Woodruff, if you know anybody that would be a great addition to RSG, please encourage them to apply. We're always looking for engaged graduate students who want to be involved, who want to, do something on this campus. And as always, my door is always open. My virtual door is always open. If you ever have any questions, concerns, ideas, or just need help with anything, please let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out. And just final comment, just keep an eye out for emails and Slack messages from Brianna and me over the next couple of weeks. But with that said, welcome to our new appointed representatives. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. That being said, questions, comments, concerns, Representative Frito.
Yeah, just I guess first question is for the bylaw amendments, which you are a co-author, I believe, on at least one of them, maybe both. Is your intention to pass them today or to send them back and make some more amendments?
You're referring to the other two resolutions on the agenda, correct? You're referring to both of them? Yeah. I don't, whatever the board sees fit. I don't have like, I'm not like so adamant on passing both of them unanimously tonight. The sooner the better, but if the board sees any like amendments or more, conversation needs to be had about these two resolutions, we can always keep it to second reads for our next meeting. But I'm not like, I'm happy to do either.
Representative Frito.
Since we've been having some very good amendments and some very good conversations, some very positive conversations, I wanted to just ask a very important, tough question. And it's that it's been no secret that recently in the other student government that is not as productive as ours, some might call it CSG, that the issue of free speech, expression, and live streams has been controversial. And I just want to nip it in the bud for RSG. Can you, in your capacity as vice president, commit to ensuring that the student body has access to both us as a government and also their rights on campus and any public property?
Sure. Yeah, I can say that.
Amazing. No further questions.
Okay. Any other questions for Vice President Margie? All right. Hearing and seeing none, we are moving forward on the agenda. Treasurer Becker is not able to be here tonight as he's traveling, but we do have some funding to consider for student orgs, which he listed and attached on our agenda. And then no reports from our Madam Secretary. So, all right, with that being said, we are moving forward on the agenda. And as well, we don't have any reports from our committees and working groups. We're not operating committees fully yet. So nothing to be said there. And normally during our external appointments reports, throughout the school year, there will become points in which from RSG we're appointing members to be on committees for like faculty senate and other committees throughout the university. So usually that is just a point where you'll just quickly write up a blurb that if we appoint you to a committee on faculty senate or if we appoint you to a RACM working group, that's just an amazing place just to be like, oh, like I attended this meeting and we discussed this during that. Just gives a point, just so it's more of an opportunity for RSG and for us to have more knowledge of what's going on. But with that being said, we've now reached open comment. With this being said, is there any individual that would like to speak during open comment? Individual seeking to speak. We'll have about that's not a member of the board. So someone that is in the public. Does anyone wish to speak during open comment? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will move forward on the agenda to our first item for business for first reads, which is BR 2026-06, the amending the executive branch and committee structure. The floor is yours, Vice President Margie.
Thank you. Um, this resolution focuses on bylaws 4 and 5, and it covers which cover our executive branch and just committee structure in general. A lot of these changes are just meant to better reflect how RSG actually operates today. I realize that our bylaws, like, there's just a lot that was missing from them, so I just wanted to add and update them. Um, there's the other two the executive positions. It not two, but it creates a few new executive positions in writing for positions that already existed. So it just updates all of that. It updates the responsibilities of the existing officers. Nothing new, but just kind of just updates it, restructures the committee so that they align with those positions and the work that we're already doing. So just to have it all better written down and in writing. Yeah.
Yeah, I will add, I think it's a really great job, as well as, I think within conversations that um, we were having leading up to taking over, just hearing about even secretary about how splitting that and adding more of an emphasis on communication, which I know is really important to Vice President Margie and I, about how can we continue to promote and put an emphasis on communication for RSG as well. And like Vice President Margie was saying as well, some things were we had those positions, but they weren't inherently spelled out. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. But with that being said, the floor is yours, Representative Frito.
I guess point of personal privilege first, although like obviously you have your own system to make amendments. For my own sanity, can we before like clicking accept, can you just highlight them in like, I don't know, yellow highlighter or something?
Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. It can be a different color if other people have favorite colors.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. Great. The floor is still open for questions, comments, concerns, and or Representative Freedom.
I guess question. So, how was the previous communications chair appointed? Were they just considered like an advisor of the executive board?
So essentially the communications person was the secretary. The secretary was supposed to
Got it.
manage those responsibilities.
Yeah, just speaking from experience here, a lot of when we first got appointed, President Woodruff and I spoke with a lot of the existing, like the previous officers, and it seemed that secretary had a lot on their plate. And so we decided to, and so as you can see in the section for secretary's powers and functions, I crossed out a lot of the bullet points for on first secretary and kind of just move things around to create that communications chair because it felt that communications should not be under the secretary's role. And I wanted the we wanted the secretary to focus primarily on just keeping everything in order, having all the records down, and collecting reports and just making sure that everything's running the way it should be, and having a separate communications person would it would function more efficiently than having all of that on the secretary, if that makes sense. So that's why that secretary section looks a little messy, but I tried my best to create that communications chairperson position. And if you see, like, if there's any amendments that needs to be made to the communications chair powers and functions, please feel free to let me know. Kind of just made that position based on what I saw didn't work for the secretary.
Representative Friedel?
I guess my proposal is twofold then. I would say that since we have the summer, it would be beneficial for us to at least maybe unofficially or just like, email back and forth or meeting, go over this. But at the same time, for these positions, my recommendation to executive would be to like unofficially recruit these positions in anticipation that they would be approved. And obviously, worst case scenario, if somehow the entire board turns on the amendment and starts hating it, then, just fades into the air like wind. So that would be my proposal for us to table this till the meeting next month and ensure that we just cross our eyes, make sure there's no loopholes in anything.
Yeah, I think, well, even if we just let the resolution go through, then it'll be in second reads for our next meeting. So yeah, it'll just move through its process from going to second reads at our next meeting if we don't suspend the rules and pass this fully. Yeah, so that can be what we just do, is just let this go out through its normal process and do second reads for our July meeting. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I guess I had a question. So, I mean,
Mhm.
some of these positions kind of existed last year too, right? So were they like just not in our constitution?
They they weren't so these amendments would make them more permanent standing committees and more permanent standing positions. Granted, correct me if I'm wrong, but as president, you're allowed to appoint what you see fit, correct? Like in terms of committees and stuff, they just don't have to be permanent.
Yeah, yeah. So as president, President Prevero ended up creating those positions, but they're not standing within our rules and or bylaws. So essentially, the next exec could not have any affordability, accessibility. It could have different positions. So yeah, just adding them within our rules.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I guess a follow-up would be, what about the chief of staff? Like, what were their responsibilities last year? Because I wasn't entirely sure what that role was, and I guess that kind of explains why we're kind of considering eliminating it. So if you could kind of elaborate on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think Vice President Margie can as well, but I think with conversations with our former Chief of Staff, Joyce, I think it was not inherently necessarily needed just in terms of the workload. I think we wanted to figure out a way to making sure that not one person didn't inherently feel like it was all placed upon them, but equally as well as is that I think a lot of those duties are kind of can be placed upon or have and can be executed upon many of the other members. So I think with just conversations with the former chief of staff, it was kind of like it's not inherently needed, and or didn't find it necessarily the most efficient. So I think with just conversations with that, I had agreed that it could be for an exec, but I think that within much of the other cabinet exec members that a lot of those roles and responsibilities can be done. So it was, if all else fails, a president could always appoint like an advisor or someone, but I don't inherently think a personal chief of staff is needed. But yeah,
All right, thank you.
yeah. All right. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Because it's in first reads, no motions, anything really have to be made because um, this will just go to our next meeting if no motions are made.
I motion if that's okay.
Okay. Motion is made. Is there a second?
I'm sorry, what is the motion for?
Brianna, what was the motion?
It was to pass the bill that we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't need a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's no motions that, or like if we're just gonna have this to go to second reads, then we don't. There doesn't need to be any motions. Okay.
Can I
Yeah.
ask, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Like just in general,
Mm-hmm.
um, does, is there like, just from first reads, is there anything that anybody, is there like any major issue that anybody has with this resolution?
Representative Frito?
Honestly, I don't have an issue with pretty much like any of the changes. It's just the language around it is so old and has needs the dust blown off it that I think if we're going to be making all these changes, it would be prudent for us to just examine some of the other things just to make sure it's written in the same way. Otherwise, it's going to look like a Frankenstein's monster because obviously the person who wrote this before probably was pre-COVID, my guess. But overall, it looks good. I think it would be good for us to do something like that over the next month. And obviously, everybody has my number, email, etc. But it looks good as is, like as a first draft.
Okay, so just like cleaning up the language, but not necessarily an issue with the concept of this resolution itself. Okay, thank you.
All right. That being said, BR 2026-06, amending the executive branch and committee structure, will go to second reads for our July meeting. That being said, we have our next item of business, clerical amendments to the bylaws, BR 2026-07. The floor is yours, Vice President Margie.
Yeah, I know you guys are tired of hearing my voice, but this last resolution is just honestly a cleanup resolution. I found that there was a bunch of grammatical errors, just formatting, fixes that needs to be made, just technical changes. Because I realized I was like, there's just a bunch of things that just I just need to fix the formatting of things, whether it's the font, whether it's just yeah, overall formatting and grammatical edits. Nothing in this resolution changes the intent or substance of the bylaws. It just makes them more consistent and easier to read. I just want to preface by saying that. But they are just very much just technical amendments and clerical errors, edits. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, the floor is open for discussions, comments, motions, or if we would like to as well, um, we could as well make no motion and have this to be in second reads for our second meeting in July. Representative Freedom?
Sorry, there is a fire truck outside my house. I hope you cannot hear that. It's not for my house. My house is not on fire, thank God. But regardless, this obviously is just exactly what we need. And I just wanted to ask, I guess we can talk about this after the meeting or whenever, but I would absolutely love to help this. I hate when things don't make sense. I hate when things are inefficient. And if you'll have me as your secondary author, I would absolutely love to go through some of this stuff and make the clerical stuff way less annoying for everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or if we're in agreement with no motion, then this will go to second reads unless there is a motion. Alrighty, hearing and seeing none, we will have BR 2026-07, the clerical amendments to the bylaws, to move to second reads to our July meeting. Appreciate you, everyone, moving towards the end of our agenda. All right, so we have moved towards the funding request. We have two organizations who have submitted funding requests for us to review. For anyone that is new, RSG provides funding for our student organizations on campus. So usually they fill out an application that is on our website. And the application asks them to fill out what their event is, what they're requesting funding from, and to list out what exactly that they're seeking help from. Our treasurer normally reviews that application. When they review that application, Treasurer Becker puts it together for us to review. And then Treasurer Becker makes a formal recommendation for if he thinks that we should, what the funding amount should be. But then at the end of the day, we are the ones who um the will either approve or not approve it. But I will give everyone like 2 to 3 minutes or so. If you click on the folder for clause, that list and houses the funding application. So if you click on that, that is the organization, and that houses what they're requesting funding from. So I'll give about 2 or so minutes, and then we can kind of discuss the organization. So yeah. Alrighty. Does anyone have any questions, comments, thoughts about this funding request? Um, Things to talk through, ideas. Any motions, ideas for how much we should fund this organization? Should we follow Treasurer Becker's recommendation for no funding in terms of the lack of impact for graduate students? Vice President Margie?
Um, can I motion for no funding?
Okay, a motion has been made to accept Treasurer Becker's recommendation for no funding for this organization. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second has been made. Are there any objections towards the motion for accepting Treasurer Becker's recommendation? All right. Hearing and seeing none, motion passes. With that being said, we move to our second and final funding request for the night. The United Asian American Medical Student Association. So Treasurer Becker once again has highlighted and added within the folder for this organization. Treasurer Becker has indicated that he thinks we should only fund the food as it's the central component of the event, and that funding should assist, and the other components aren't necessarily needed. Um, Based on his judgment, food was not necessarily for the event to be held. So overall, he recommends no funding. But I would say for y'all to look at the folder, review the organization that has submitted funding. I'll give a couple minute or so. Representative Freedom.
I'm sure this is in the document, but for purposes of our agenda, I wanted to make a point of information. Is the 250 the cost of the food or everything total?
Mm,
Full
that might
transparency,
be,
I have not read the document yet.
that is a good question. That might just be the cost of the food. That might, yeah. I believe that's just what they're requesting totally, 250. Yeah. You're
Yeah, the 250 is the food from the catering from Lucky Kitchen.
mm-hmm. Really, are there any questions, comments, motions, ideas for this organization? Representative Frida?
I guess this is a comment based on the math they did. Honestly, the application is very thorough. However, there is sort of one asterisk in regards to their calculation. They said it is I believe 833 a person. Technically, that includes the faculty, and if you just do it graduate students, it would be $8.9 per person covered for food rather than 8.33. Not that it matters, but I just thought I would mention that. My personal opinion is that I think this is totally acceptable. $8 a person for 28 graduate students. I think that's fairly reasonable.
Okay.
Do we know how much was left in our budget? Did Treasurer Becker mention that?
I believe it should be 600. Most likely, if as well as with the $1,000, and then we process the last student orgs. There could be an expansion of that amount, which is what I'm hoping that we're able to do in moving some money around for student orgs. But from my recollection, it's the 600 amount. Representative Freedom.
I guess I have a proposal then. If their math for the 250 was based off the faculty, um, I don't want this to be seen as petty, but I feel like it would make sense for us to just cover the grad students. So doing some quick maths, that'd be about $20 less. So I guess my proposal would be $230 given on 250 requested.
Okay. A motion is that's an official motion?
Yes.
Okay. A motion has been made to um approve $230, right?
To be exact, it would be $233.40. That'd be exactly for 28 graduate students.
Okay.
I'll write that down. I got you.
Motion has been made to approve $233.40 for this organization. Is there a second?
I second.
Second has been made. Are there any objections for the motion at hand for approving $233.40 to be sent to the United Asian American Medical Student Association? Vice President Margie?
Yeah, can I just ask a question for clarification before?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I don't know. I know this is a formal objection, but like, I still want to
Okay.
ask the question. Um, I know that I know we talked about this before, like last semester, but I just want to clarify in terms of graduate students. I know that Treasurer Becker's mentioned that this is only for that we have that this is a for like the medical school association is focused primarily on medical students. So I know we had this whole conversation before about their exclusivity to medical students. And in terms of graduate students, are we talking about like Rackham graduate students, or are we just discussing that in terms of medical students? So I just wanted to mention that because I know we talked about this before, but I forgot where that conversation ended up, and I have not fully um if somebody could tell me where it says that in the actual doc for this student org, that would be great. That's the only reason I wanted to object, not because I have a problem with your 230.
Mm-hmm. Representative Frida?
Yeah, don't touch the 230. We love the 230. No, but in all seriousness, I remember us talking about this, and I believe because we've had this in the past where medical students who ran in CSG then switched to Rackham when it was less contested. So I think it depends on the type of medical student, but regardless, all of them are at least medical students. And based on the fact that they have approached us, I'm assuming that they did not get coverage, nor is there like a robust funding mechanism through their student gov. And to be honest, if they were asking for like $750, I think it would be like, okay, that's like $20 a meal. But $8.30 per person for 28 grad students, I'm kind of in on that. I think that's a good return on investment. And also, it would give a sign to other graduates and other organizations saying, hey, if your request is reasonable and you're feeding a lot of people and you want food for your event as a way to get people to go, I think it's a done deal, and we should be incentivizing more people to do this. So I think that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns about the motion?
I mean, I think I'm just under the impression that like sure it can be a great like look for other student orgs when they attempt to apply, like oh look we're like RSG so nice or whatever. But at the same time, if this is primarily medical students that aren't under Rackham, I fear that there might be other better ways to spend our funding. But then again, let me just take a closer read of this organization's form. And if anybody could tell me where it exactly says that, please let me know.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I understand that. I think that's within our hope of restructuring the criteria within student orgs. Um, it's that it's difficult because that's what I've been trying to figure out this semester of how to hopefully infuse a little bit more funding for student orgs and getting more money there, but equally when looking at just the funds that we have, how continue to support, our Rackham community. But I understand as well as we have been encompassing the broader graduate and professional students as well. Uh, uh, Representative Freedom?
Yes, so I remembered you just triggered a core memory from last month. In regards to this, I remember we talked about this because the difference is even if somebody's considered a medical student, they also have PhDs, which would be in Rackham, even if they're studying like the same thing. Same thing with masters and undergrads. And if you take a look under, does your group work with any other departments or organizations? They mention the fact that they not only collaborate with undergraduate pre-health people, but also other graduate schools like the law school, dental school, and Rackham for those who are not medical students but are in, like that they want to work in the healthcare field. So obviously it's very nebulous for us, but based on this reading, obviously I would love more information from them. It seems like it's a mixture of both medical students and also graduate students studying healthcare. Although if this is way too convoluted, we can always push it back a month and just ask them, hey, do you guys have a head count? Which I think is a fair decision if you guys think that would be okay.
Can I add something here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just wanted to, I have nothing against this org or med students, but I just wanted to add that, I mean, part of one of the questions was how, like, I understand like MPH is like all these different like graduate degrees exist and like maybe some of them are I don't know, but I'm saying in terms of like how many people in total do you expect to attend, it says we have 28 medical students and 2 faculty in attendance, so that's what I'm just taking it as. These are 28 like just medical students, whether they are associated with the Rackham or not, I don't know, but I'm taking it as these are medical students that are applying for Rackham funding. Is um, yeah.
Representative Freedom.
I will withdraw, and I guess I would amend my motion. My motion now is let's punt it back for a month since I don't see a reason why not, and just ask them a simple question. Is it all medical school students? Just for them to be clear, because I think that that's the disconnect. Worst case scenario, they don't have a head count. It's like, sorry, next time just get a head count. Best case scenario, if we find a missing Rackham student or two, partially funding, I think even if like we end up funding almost nothing, I think it shows us that we care. And I think the fact that even if they don't get their money, the fact that we're showing effort, that we're involved and actually care about ensuring we're representing our constituents is something that I think sets a really good precedent, even if it doesn't move the needle for their funding. So that's my motion is punt.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a technical word.
So an official motion has been made to delay the the United Asian American Medical Student Association funding until our July meeting. Is there an official second?
I
Given that,
second.
yeah, given that the event already happened,
Point of
there's
order. I just wanted to be clear. My motion also is that we'll just ask them if they have a head count. That's it. I don't know who would be in charge of that, treasurer or mythical comms person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you.
Okay. Yeah, if we can add a note of that for Treasurer Becker. Motion has been made and Vice President Margie, was that a second?
yeah, I mean, given that the event already happened, there's no
Okay.
harm in doing that.
Okay. All right. Motion second. Are there any objections to delaying this funding organization request until July? Alrighty. Thank you, everyone. Hearing and seeing none, motion carries. That being said, we have reached the end of the agenda, everyone. Open discussion. Any sitting RSG member is allowed to speak during this period of time. Does anyone wish to speak on any matter of their choosing? Bye, Bob.
Yeah, hi. This was about Tyler's Slack message about this being live streamed.
Oh,
So,
shoot.
since this is being live streamed, is there a Rackham procedure for live streaming these meetings, including attendee notice, consent, opt-out options, and how recordings or public links are managed? And so, what of outreach? I just want to make sure everyone is aware and comfortable of being identified, publicly.
Yeah, RSG doesn't have a we don't have a live stream policy, more or less, or especially regarding the matters of being on Zoom. I know a lot of the conversations that I've had with university is that an organization such as of ourselves, we have the ability to uh, we're the ones governing in terms of what does that look like for recording, but it's also understanding as well that the meetings are open and available for the public and for students to be able to see. It's accessible whether it's when we're in person on campus. You can both come in to Rackham, or we have it on Zoom, and we post the agendas and they're up and available. And so I think I agree equally as well. I was just making sure that um, I want everyone to feel inherently too, if they're not comfortable as well with whether being recorded, to communicate that. And inherently, there's not too much that I can do. I would say to communicate that to who's ever recording, to let them know of whether you aren't comfortable in that manner, so then they're able to proceed with that way. So yeah, Representative Frito.
Yeah, I guess I'll do this good cop, bad cop style. The good cop in me would be that, as I've said every step of the way, if you have any concerns, my DMs are always open. It's just funny, like in CSG, unfortunately, a lot of people don't ever communicate their concerns to me, but my goal is only to make ourselves more accessible. I think the fact that our turnouts in the single digits is unacceptable, and that's my only goal. And if you're actually looking at the live stream, basically it's just my face on camera, since I'm the one doing the live streams. And yeah, just title it Rackham Student Government. Simple as that. And so that way, especially if we have a bill that's really impactful, or let's say like, the fantastic nominations questions, but also the fantastic answers, stuff like that. If somebody feels like they answered a question really well and they want to post it, like totally, as long as you cite the live stream, it's all good. And the bad cop side in me would be that I disagree with the university's interpretation. Not only that, but courts disagree with the university's interpretation, and the laws disagree with the university's interpretation. For me personally, I am more than happy to work with anybody here to ensure that they feel comfortable and feel like they can participate. But at the end of the day, legally speaking, every body, whether it's this faculty meeting, whether it's the school boards, whether it's the Board of Regents, and yes, student government, is bound under the Constitution of the United States, but also the all-campus Constitution, our own Rackham Constitution, in addition to the various student rights and responsibilities that are protected in university policy. And if somebody really wanted to be rude, which is not my intention, nor would I ever want to do that, they could just say, sorry, I'm just going to do this anyways. For me, doors always open to reach out and work to ensure what we're doing here is productive. But at the end of the day, rights are rights for a reason. If we pick and choose when people's rights end, then it's only a matter of time before your rights are next. And I firmly believe that we have to defend each other's rights to their core and ensure that they are not up for debate and not up for regulation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to kind of since you posted that message, I just wanted to make sure what
Sorry, I
that
went too
live
hard.
stream is. And sorry?
No, I was just saying I went too hard. That's all. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know if kind of we should be asking RSG members, or what if you could post more information about
Yeah,
what your live stream is,
absolutely.
where it's going, so that people at least know where it's being posted and what is being posted, rather than just a Slack message that there's a live stream, right? Information is power. We all should be knowing where our recordings are going, and especially if it's being done by if there, again, as you mentioned, if there are rules around it and stuff like that, and pretty much making sure that everyone on RSG is aware that this is happening.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Representative Neely.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. There's a lot of issues surrounding recording and live streaming that have happened in multiple student governments, but what I really wanted to talk about was, I guess, timing of meetings. I believe that according to the Google Calendar, these meetings are scheduled to go from 7 until 8:30. We are, it is 8:45 right now, and it is in the summer when we skipped over a lot of sections on the agenda. So for the school year, especially if we could, either like just update the invite to adjust to expectations and just be cognizant of everyone's time, especially grad students. If we can, make just yeah, no one wants the same midnight meetings in CSG to happen in RSG. I wouldn't imagine. So if we can just, I don't know, I guess just be mindful of having efficient meetings, that would be great. Love to see you all, love to work with you all.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? Vice President?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, Aaron. I mean, like as Secretary Garcia is making these calendar invites, is there a specific, like, let's just say like we put 8:30 or 9, um, and we run a little past that or we end a little early. Is there a specific time that you see would be work that you would see fits more in terms of just overall timing? Or that, because like 8:30 maybe was cutting it a little short. So it would, like, if we change it to 9, let's say, would that better set expectations? Or like I know CSG does midnight, and I'm like, I know we're not gonna go until midnight, so I don't want to set that expectation. But is there a specific time that you would see fit better than 8:30 is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, maybe 9, but it's really something I guess we have to discern as meetings go on and we figure out, how long do they actually take and how long should should they take. I'm not trying to be, excessively picky here. I just wanted to, just keep people aware of it.
No, that's such a fair point. I think the 8:30 was just like, I don't have a problem with it being 9. I think we just put 8:30 in terms of like how we've seen RSG board meetings go throughout the semester. But I would be more than happy to change it to 9. That's totally fine. No worries. Thank you for bringing that up, though. That's a good point.
Okay. Are there any other members wishing to speak? All right. Appreciate you, everyone. Hearing and seeing none. Is there a motion to adjourn at 8:47? Representative Frito, is that a motion?
Yes, it is indeed, Mr. President. Let's adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second for my first ever one.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, with that being said, Tyler, can you stay after the meeting? But 8:47, we have officially adjourned the meeting. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, everybody.